Happy Tuesday. We've been talking about the book of James and all these hard topics that have been cascading in front of us about trials and headaches and suffering and perseverance and judgment. And we now, having just looked at salvation and judgment, we now turn to the topic of our words. It's actually one of the themes that keeps coming up in James's letter. It's very Jewish the way James does this. He introduces a topic, he moves on to another topic, and then he circles back and he goes to the... So I've said money just keeps coming up throughout the letter. So does what we say. In James 1:19, he says that we should all be quick to listen and slow to speak. In James 1:26, he says, if anyone considers himself religious and yet does not keep a tight rein on his tongue, he deceives himself and his religion is worthless. Then in James chapter 2, he warns believers to act and speak as though they were already facing judgment. In all, the topic of what we say, our words, is going to come up 6 times in this letter. The most comprehensive comes up as we pivot into James chapter 3. So let me read a few verses here. James 3:1. Not many of you should presume to be teachers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. I really dislike this passage, by the way. And I'm not inclined to teach on it much. But let's just note that words matter. So those of us who use words to influence others should use them very cautiously. Verse 2. We all stumble in many ways. If anyone is never at fault in what he says, he is a perfect person, able to keep his whole body in check. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. So he's going to use several examples of the way, just as the tongue is a very small part of our body, but it controls a lot. Small things can have big effects. So a bridle in a horse's mouth, you can turn a large horse with just a small bridle. And then he goes, the next one is about a ship. Verse 4, take ships as an example. Although they are so large and driven by strong winds, they're steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go. And that's true. One of the fascinating things about sailing is you get this very tiny little rudder, and it turns the ship wherever you want it to go, the boat wherever you want it to go. Likewise, verse 5, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider, here's another illustration of how a small thing can be big. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. So the description about our words is about to get scarier, but in a devotion which I'm going to end by saying, given how important our words are, we want to think about what we say, and we want to use our words to bless, not to curse. Perhaps the marching orders for us ought to be to say less today. So I'm going to stop there. James is setting up a reminder for us that what we say matters. What you say matters. We're accountable for every word we speak. So why not go out of your way today to bless with your words, not to curse, and as a general rule, to say just a little bit less. Have a good day.